You're not lazy. You're not unmotivated. You are exhausted. You're doing so much and you don't give yourself enough credit for that. If you're constantly finding yourself setting goals but not following through on them, the reason probably has so much less to do with discipline and so much more with how you're prioritizing yourself on a daily basis. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. My name is Tony. I help ambitious, high-achieving women finally follow through on the things that they have been wanting to do in their lives without burning out in the process. Today, I'm going to be talking about the number one reason you are not following through on your goals, even though you are a high achiever. We're going to talk about how to shift into real sustainable success. So if all of that sounds interesting to you, I hope you'll stick around and let's get into it. The very first question that you need to ask yourself if this is coming up for you is, are you even scheduling yourself on your calendar? If the answer is yes, feel free to skip ahead. But if the answer is no, this is going to be your starting point. I don't care if it is 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at lunch, 5 minutes in the bathroom, that just reminds your brain, reminds your body that you matter. You need a moment that says, I matter. My energy matters. What I want out of my life matters. You're not going to magically have time to prioritize yourself if your calendar is so packed full of everybody else's needs or all of the other things that you have committed to. You have to set yourself up for success by incorporating your own needs, desires, and wants into your schedule. If you have things scheduled and you miss a day, you miss a week, fine. It's okay to give yourself grace. You're learning, you're adapting, you're making changes. It's gonna happen. But keep the calendar invite there. Keep the reminder there for your brain to get with the program that we are including ourselves as part of the plan for today. You are worthy of being included in your day, even when life is busy, especially when life is busy. Now, if you do schedule yourself on your calendar, but you can't seem to commit to that, you consistently disregard that calendar invite or think, I'll get to that later, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it at the end of this week, that's when we need to go deeper. Most of the time, this issue is going to be either rebellion or self-sabotage, a mix of the two, something like that. The reason I say rebellion is because when you feel boxed into a specific thing that you have to do, let's say that you decided you want to meditate every single day. You wake up in the morning and you're supposed to meditate for 5 minutes to set yourself up for success, to check your self-care box for the day. But when you think about meditating, you want to rip your hair out. You're like, I know it's only 5 minutes. I know this isn't going to take a whole lot of effort or time out of my day, but I could not think of anything less that I want to do right now than meditate. I'm going to rebel by scrolling on my phone, going to have a conversation with someone in your house, sitting down and just drinking coffee with the birds. So you go and you enjoy yourself doing those things, and then you punish yourself because you were rebelling against the fact that you were supposed to meditate. The point of meditating is not the meditation, it's the result afterwards. So if the idea of meditation is making you feel trapped or it's making you feel like you're in a box, you're not going to get what you want out of meditation anyway. So the question you need to ask yourself in those moments is not, how can I force myself to meditate, but rather, what is the result that I intended to get out of meditation? If it's calmness, if it's stress relief, if it's connection to your higher self, then what is another way that sounds more exciting for you to get that same result right now? Asking yourself that is going to give you the opportunity to choose. And you might end up choosing meditation. You might end up choosing going for a drive in, silence to give yourself that meditative experience. You might choose to sit outside and watch the birds. You might choose to sit and have a conversation with someone in your house. You might even choose to scroll on your phone. But the point is to tap into the feeling that we want to be feeling, not the specific act that we have committed to. So if we can get closer to feeling the way we want to be feeling based on how we think that specific act, like meditation, is going to make us feel, then we will ultimately have success. The point of our life is not to commit to certain actions or goals just to check off boxes. The point is to get a result that is going to bring us the feeling that we want to be feeling. If you can do that by sitting outside and watching birds and drinking your coffee rather than sitting on your bed, putting on a meditation and meditating for 5 minutes, then that's okay. We are seeking the result, not the specific action. So give yourself that option, that flexibility, the fluidity to choose what you want to do in order to feel how you want to feel. The other thing that comes into play here is self-sabotage. I have an entire video on self-sabotage and how you can overcome it, so I will link that down below. But the biggest thing about self-sabotage is realizing that it's your body's way of keeping you safe. You have operated in a specific way for a very long time, and it's kept you safe. It's kept you alive. But has it kept you happy? Has it given you the success and fulfillment that you truly want to feel? Because if the answer is no, then we need to decide whether safety and comfortability is our priority, or if happiness and fulfillment and living the best life that we possibly can, if that is our priority. You really have to ask yourself, if you're running away from the success, if you're sabotaging the success, then what are you running towards? And you have to become more afraid of what happens if you don't change than what happens if you do. So this leads me into the next thing I want to talk about, which is that we have not, most of us women have not been set up for success in the world that we live in. We have been birthed into an environment, into a world that operates on a 24-hour cycle. There are specific work times, and during that workday, you are expected to be super productive and have the same amount of output every single day, 5 days a week, for 8 hours a day. However, we as women, specifically women who were born female at birth, we operate off of something called Infradian Rhythm. This is different than the circadian rhythm that happens on a 24-hour basis. We operate off of our menstrual cycle. We have 4 different phases of our cycle. Some give us more energy. They give us a lot more concentration, focus. It's good for deep work. And then other phases need us to be moving slower. We need to be more creative. We need to get into flow, and we need to slow down. So we are trying to take a 28-day cycle and fit it into a 24-hour day, and that is killing us. On the days of our cycle when we need to slow down, but we're still showing up to work and trying to cram everything into an 8-hour day or hustle like we would during our ovulatory phase, we are not setting ourselves up for success. Us not honoring our individual cycles, our female cycles, is causing so many issues that are derailing us and making us feel like we can't accomplish our goals or like we can't do it all. You're not the problem. The world around us has not given us the opportunity to operate based off of what is best for us. When our energy is fluctuating and we have to exert the same amount of energy every single day, of course we're going to burn out. Of course we're going to be exhausted. When our sleep patterns change and we need more rest on certain days as others, but we're getting the same amount of rest every single day because we have to wake up at a specific time and show up and be at work and exert all this energy and still have all of our commitments, of course we're going to be exhausted and burnt out and feel like we're lazy. When we're having more heightened emotions and mental strain, but we still have to show up and exert the energy that we always have and be present for everything and everyone, of course, we are going to be exhausted and feel like we are lazy. There are so many negative effects of not embracing the true cycle in which we as women are meant to follow. And if you are able to start documenting when the days are that you feel the most productive, when you feel the most creative, when you feel the most tired, when you feel the most irritable, you will likely see that it has so much to do with the phase of your cycle that you are in. So if you can start to plan meetings, plan goals, plan commitments around your cycle to support you in the most supportive way possible, that is going to ultimately lead to so much more success in a sustainable way. And then the last thing here that really trips us up on following through on the things that we really want to do in our life is allowing ourselves to rest. We are so afraid of rest. And I guarantee you, when I ask you this question, you're going to be like, I don't even know. If you had 8 hours of completely uninterrupted, free time, knowing that you were going to come back to work and not feel overwhelmed, you knew that everything that was going on during that 8 hours was taken care of. You were completely caught up at work. You were completely caught up with all of the household things. You had no commitments that were just waiting on you. As soon as you came out of that 8 hours, you would resume your life from a neutral, happy, fulfilled space. You would no longer feel burned out. You would no longer feel tired. Everything would be handled and you would be able to start fresh, start anew. If that were possible, how would you spend that 8 hours? If you were able to just rest and relax and truly not have to think about what comes next, what would you do during those 8 hours? Would you try and fill it with a task? Would you try to tap into your body and your needs and ask what would serve you the most during that time? Would you be afraid to listen to what your body needed, to what your mind was trying to say, to what your thoughts were trying to convey to you? Are you worried that you wouldn't be able to meet your own needs if you sat with yourself and just allowed yourself to listen? Listen to your thoughts, listen to your needs. So many of us are afraid of stillness, not because we don't want peace, but because we're scared that we will not know how to meet our own needs or that we won't be able to. But I promise you, that is where you will find the sustainable success. That is where you will find the true purpose and feeling of fulfillment in your life. You cannot find it in all of the external things that people are trying to sell you, that people are trying to influence you to do or to be. It's in the stillness, it's in the quiet that you truly find what you need and what you desire. That is true self-care, is allowing yourself to rest enough that you can actually hear your own voice. Okay, my loves, if this resonated with you and you know you've been overdoing it, you've been under supporting yourself, you've been spinning your wheels and turning in circles, then I want you to start by grabbing my free resource, the Overwhelm to Action Blueprint. This allows you to brain dump everything you've got on your plate right now. And then the magic part is when you actually break these into different categories to decide what you are going to prioritize. And there's a video that is accompanied with each step of this process, and it really walks you through how to honor the priorities that are most important to you, not everyone else. And it teaches you how to prioritize based off of your energy and based off of the importance of that task. It's really incredible, and it makes everything so much easier when you can feel confident that you are executing on the right things and you're spending time on the things that are going to give you the most fulfillment and satisfaction. The link to grab that is down below. It is completely free. All you need to do is enter your email and I will send that right your way. So just a reminder, following through does not start or end with willpower. That is not where you're going to find the most success. Can you find success that way? Yes. Is it going to be sustainable? No. Is it going to feel amazing after you've accomplished whatever it is you were looking for? Probably not. So just know that you are not failing. You just need a different way of existing, of executing, of being in the world. You learning that is worth celebrating. So I'm celebrating you for being here today, for listening to this. If you got to the end, congratulations. I hope this was helpful. I hope it served you in some way. If you have any questions, please drop a comment down below. I am more than willing to do my best to help with anything that you are struggling with. If you need one-on-one support, there's also a link to schedule a monthly planning session with me where we can go into your specific situation and come up with a roadmap that is really going to serve you and help you move forward and gain momentum throughout the month. Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already, hit the like button and subscribe to stay along for the journey. I am wishing you so much success on your week ahead, and until next time, take care.